Now back in the same example, let me show you another way to show or hide part of a page. Instead of using the ngIf directive, we can use the hidden attribute. So in HTML, we can apply this hidden attribute to our divs to hide them. Now if you go back in the browser, we should see no courses yet message. Here's the message, beautiful. Now this attribute in HTML also exists as a property in our DOM objects. So we can use property binding and bind this property of the underlying DOM object to some expression. For example, here I want to hide this first div if we don't have any courses. So courses.length equals 0. Now similarly, we can hide the second div if we have at least one course. So courses.length greater than 0. Now back in the app component, currently we have 2 items here. Let's see if application is working properly. So we get the list of courses, beautiful. Now back in app component, I'm going to empty this array, save, and back in the browser, no courses yet. Beautiful. Now let me show you something. Let's inspect this element. Note that both divs exist in our DOM, but the first div has the hidden attribute, and that's why it's hidden. So that's the main difference between using ngIf and the hidden property. When we use ngIf on an element, if the condition evaluates to falsy, that element is removed from the DOM. Whereas when we use the hidden attribute, the element is in the DOM, it's just hidden. So you might ask, which approach is better? Well, if you're working with a large tree with a lot of children, it's better to use ngIf because these elements can take substantial memory and computing resources. You don't want to put them in the DOM if you're not going to show them to the user. Plus, Angular may continue to check for changes even to invisible properties. So the change detection mechanism in Angular, that's the mechanism that keeps your views in sync with your components, that's running in the background. And when these elements are in the DOM, Angular continues to perform change tracking on these elements. So in these situations, if you're dealing with a large tree with a lot of DOM objects, it's better to use ngIf to free up resources. There is just one exception. In some situations, building a large element tree in the right state may be costly. So if you have a page with an element subtree, in that case, ngIf may have a negative impact on the performance of that page. So if the user is going to click a button to toggle something to show or hide that part of the page, if building that element tree is costly, you shouldn't use ngIf. It's better to keep it in the DOM and hide it using the hidden attribute. So in summary, if you're dealing with a small tree of objects, it doesn't matter which approach you choose, it's purely your personal preference. If you're working with a large tree, first check to see if building that tree is going to be costly or not. If it's costly, use the hidden property to keep it in the DOM but hide it. Otherwise, it's better to use ngIf to remove it from the DOM and free up the resources.